That'll be fine.
It'll be fine. That's what the people want. It's the people go.
Yeah! Kane in the Hall of Fame!
Yeah! So now I got a Harlem Heat Hall of Fame shirt, and now I got That's Gotta Be Kane! In case there's any question, not only do you get the face, where is it? You get his face, you get his bare arm, and you get his name for Kane. Yeah! Man, we look like we went through a Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole match tonight, baby.
We're both a couple of sleepy boys.
Yeah.
Like, this show was originally scheduled for 10:15. No,
Yes.
10:05. And I
Yes.
had to push it back, I think, 5 times. And here we are at 11 o'clock. Matt still has some editing to do when we're done recording.
What's the opposite of a snooze button? Because we're hitting it. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a punishing, puncturing, Edward James almost saying undisputed episode of the Brothers of Discussion. Yeah, we're going to talk Stand and Deliver, get some thoughts and feelings out there. Man, all sorts of feelings and thoughts. It's fresh. Ooh, it's like an open wound. Spread it open and smell that copper. And Matt, we're going to talk Kane doing a Saturday Night Live monologue to a robot laugh track. Oh, no. What a nightmare situation for any comedian, let alone a mayor of a small town in Tennessee. Matt, we're going to get you geared up for Mania, all 8 to 9 hours of it. We're going to get you geared up for live crowds and all the Buccaneer filters you can stomach. Matt, it's the Brothers of Discussion. How are you hanging in there?
I'm doing pretty good. That's probably the long and short of it. I think this will be fun because not only am I super sleepy right now, but we haven't had time to like digest anything, so we're just going to be throwing out hot takes left and right. It's going to be hot garbage. Yeah,
it's we just woke. You know, it's like you just got out of the love nest, and you're like, yeah, baby, let's talk about it. You know, you didn't even get to let it marinate. But Matt, here we are. Matt, you popped the question here. NXT TakeOver, Stand and Deliver. It was a 2-night event. Matt, we're going to start with the easier question because then you only have to do 50-50 instead of 1 out of 16. Matt, what was the better night? Night 1 or night 2?
I think I said it before, and I'm pretty happy with what happened because I think I was right. Night 2 was the better night of Stand and Deliver.
Matt,
here we go.
If you wanted to expand on that, I'm going to step right in. Matt, night 2 is easily better. Okay. I got to say that of all the participants, this is going to be a show where it's WWE's week. It's WrestleMania week. It's NXT TakeOver week. But, you know, this NXT show, I wanted just a little AEW to it. I respect everybody's work rate, but sometimes I want to see a little bit of man meat getting slapped. Sometimes I want a little narrative. All right. And this was just a lot of guys who could go. Matt, I think that's why night 2 for me was so much better. Because I had Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly having their blow-off match. I'm pretty shocked that Kyle won. I really thought this was going to be something that was going to extend out into the summer, and I think to do that would have been, an Adam Cole victory. But, I mean, the star of the night far and away from everybody else, because no, there wasn't necessarily a huge storyline. This was, just the dude getting his rematch after having the title stripped from him. The star of the night was Killer Kross, Karrion Kross, Matt. That guy, he's got an entrance, he's got a presence, he's got a violent moveset, he's got the look.
He's got the look.
I don't think he's long for the NXT world. I think that potentially by next year he's going to be main eventing in WrestleMania. That's how big a star this guy looks. I know he's kind of getting the leg up with the music and his smoking hot wife coming out, and she's out there trying to win an Emmy, and she should at least be nominated. I don't know if she's gonna win, but man, I was blown away by the package of Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
The way I hadn't thought about this till right now, so I don't want anybody to think I have a vendetta against Aleister Black, but this is almost like if you said, hey, do you want Aleister Black to look like a WWE guy? Here he is, Karrion Kross. Obviously we both love Aleister Black, and we've, gushed about him forever. But, WWE looking guys, Karrion Kross. And a quick shout out to Amy, of course. Amy, if you're tired, get those wings. Go to bed.
No, Amy, microwave that coffee from this morning like I did, baby. Oh, yeah. Woo!
I know. And I was so stupid. I just had bourbon and mead, so now I'm really ready for bed. But
what a combo.
I would say if that's your pick for favorite match, because that was our next question. I do want to get into it a little bit more because I was a big dum-dum, Mike. I said that Karrion Kross had to follow along the lines of what Finn Balor said, and he said, I'm going to get the win because I can control my emotions. And again, that's when we said goodbye to the Demon Balor. That was a big promo that we discussed either a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And Kross did the exact opposite. And I talked about it on Twitter, and I said, this is them saying it doesn't matter what other people do. Karrion Kross is a whole other breed of human being. He unleashed the emotion, and the last 2 minutes of that match were all Karrion Kross. It wasn't one of those silly things where Brock Lesnar's doing 20 suplexes, and then John Cena gets in a attitude adjustment, and then Brock still finishes the match. No, it was just Karrion Kross just suplexing the Doomsday.
Yeah, we didn't have to see Finn, inflate his air runners,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's Kushida.
Oh no, I was talking about John doing that, but yeah. No, you're right. Like as big a star as Kross was, I'd say the second star for me was Finn Balor, who. Man, we talk about Dolph Ziggler being the king of the bumps, and I give Rhea Ripley a lot of credit for bumping too. I'd say she almost bumps too much for how big she is. Like nobody can knock you down, girl. We know you're wrestling right now. Nobody can take you down, girl. I love you. But going for that crown was Finn Balor, because I thought that at the end of those last 2 minutes, that Killer Kross was beating up like a tackling dummy, like a weighted tackling dummy from one of those car testing commercials where they have the heavy plastic body fly through the windshield. Balor, he was incredible. He made, like, it takes two to tango, right? Like he can dead body all he wants, but if Kross doesn't look like he's really demolishing somebody, and then you got your smoking hot wife in the corner, just like. There's no way you could not just kind of feel the pulse in your body and be like, whoa, I hope I don't accidentally kill Finn Balor in real life. That had to have crossed his mind at least once.
Yeah.
She would have pushed me into violence is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there were actually Scarlett being out there, a lot of nice touches there where she's yelling at Finn throughout the match, but then the speaking it sounded like she was speaking in tongues to get Karrion Kross to go over.
Her character work is so much better than it needs to be. You know what I mean? She's just she's gunning for an Emmy or something. It's fantastic.
We would settle for her singing along to the entrance song, but man, she knows what's up. Those
Even
two,
if she
man.
didn't really know the words, if she just kind of like, but no, she's like fall and pray, and it's just okay. Jesus.
Jesus, yeah, that's Finn. Jesus, Maddie, and Joseph.
That was far and away, the best. I think was Kross and Bálor for me. Matt, what about for night one? Oh, do you put Cole and Kyle? Did you like that better?
That's the thing, because that ladder match, Mike, to start the night, that was a hell of a banger. Like I said, how many match of the year candidates are we going to get? And out of these 2 nights, I would have said no problem if we didn't get Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, the unsanctioned match, and if we didn't get Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross, I probably would have sat there and said this is a match of the year candidate. But it just kept escalating, I think, throughout the night. That ladder match, you guys absolutely have to watch that thing. I'm putting it like this, Mike. Devlin stood out as the daredevil, but you actually helped sell me with your Twitter post that Escobar is the superstar. He's the star in this match, and the way that he carries himself, like Jordan Devlin, I think we fell in love with as NXT UK fans, but watching Escobar grab those titles, you were like, oh, yeah, that's the guy. And I love Jordan Devlin to death, and I think he has a tremendous career in front of him. This is nothing against him. This is all about praising Escobar and his character work. But yeah, Devlin and Escobar did so many crazy things that we've never seen in a ladder match before. I do like the simple stuff too, where Escobar is the ladder up against Devlin's gut, and the whole idea is to sell that Devlin's not going to be able to reach up later to grab the ladder. And it's good planning, and it's a great move where he so he has the ladder set up on his gut. Devlin's in the corner, and he does 2 kicks to the ladder, and then does a running jump, like drop kick to the end of the ladder to shoot it into Devlin's gut. It's simple, just a great move. And of course, you've got all the flippy doos. You had the DDT off the top. You had the splat, not the splash. What's our Io Shirai finisher? I'm so tired right now. Jesus. But it was perfect execution by Jordan Devlin. It's just, again, that guy's the daredevil, but again, the right person won this match if you go back and watch it. The guy who carries himself as that superstar.
I thought Escobar, one of my favorite things he did the whole night was when he went outside the ring to go get the second ladder. And he did kind of this like half pivot turn, kind of showboating for the crowd. And then I've seen, there's a way to wrestle, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of try to make a display out of you reaching under the ring. And it was just something I haven't seen this version of it before, where he kind of pulled the apron up, and it was like, I don't know, it was like he was getting his tools out to go, make a fine dish in the kitchen. Like he kind of set up everything, and he kind of had this little smirk over his shoulder, like, hey, why don't you come over? We'll make a couple croissants, Come on. And then he just started cooking, and that's when he pulled the ladder out, and then the match, started getting a little bit more violent, a little extra. I think the next couple moves were the ones you were describing with the supine stuck in the middle there, Devlin. And yeah, when he did with the moonsault, it was almost like if you just took the ladder and drew the exact like hairline gap between the ladder and his body as he
like the tip of his head
flipped. Yeah, it was just this perfect hairline. But it never felt like, oh God, he's gonna injure himself, like a real injury. It was just perfectly staged, and man, it's fantastic.
How many times have we seen guys go to the top of a ladder and they jump off and they kick the ladder back and then they're grasping for?
Was not the case this time. No, right. Yeah, Devlin was fantastic.
And then the unsanctioned match this is a terrible transition into that, but goddamn, They're selling it right now, Mike. We were just talking about it before we went live, but Triple H and Shawn Michaels are throwing Adam Cole into the old meat wagon.
Oh boy.
It's cute because they do that, and it's not being recorded, for Peacock or the network or whatever. And people are posting it right now like, oh, Adam Cole, he's actually hurt. And it's like, no, if Triple H and Shawn Michaels aren't putting him into the stretcher if he's actually hurt.
They're moving his neck. Hold on. There we go. Gotcha. Okay.
I have a chiropractor license. So
that's what he's been up to.
It's the length that they're willing to go for storytelling for Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole that is what makes this such a good story. It's what made it such a great match. We don't need to go too deep, I think, because we already gushed about it a teensy bit. But that, for me, Blake, I think that's the one that's going to stick with me longer if I had to pick a favorite match, only because of the visuals that Kyle was able to bring. Wrapping that chain around his leg, the two of them going through the entrance ramp is an incredible move. Adam Cole kicking through the side, like the set design to get Kyle out of the entrance ramp. It was all great. Even Adam knocking out the ref in anger, and the close-up shot of him yelling at the ref. All of this was just great and just showed that these guys, their tempers were exploding right in front of our eyes. It wasn't anything about like reaching that point. They were already there. But by the end of the match, I mean, Mike, for me, that's the match of the year. That's the match of the year candidate that came out of these two nights. I'm going with the unsanctioned match. I think Adam Cole did it again. I think he is probably the best wrestler in the world right now, because even though it seems like we continue to forget about him, like it feels like we're not talking about him for long periods of time, and then a takeover comes around and then we go, all right, Adam Cole's, he's a fucking genius.
This Ferrari is not a bad ride. It's pretty nice.
Oh, reliable.
I still, I don't know, man. If I was asked which one are you gonna rewatch, I would probably pick Britt Baker. Oh
man, we're gonna get into that. Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying that's still that was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in a wrestling ring is Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. So
that is a good question. I think I'd like to watch them both back to back and give, take notes, be respectful of both matches. Cause now I'm all high on this cause I just watched it. So
yeah,
I'm going to give a biased opinion and say right now, this feels like match of the year, but how cool is it going to be at the end of the year when we're discussing, was Adam Cole's match better or Britt Baker's? I think that's going to be a fun conversation.
Well, we did get one dip into the women's division. We got Shotzi and Ember versus.
We're going to talk about Bronson Reed and Gargano. It was fine. It's not. I'm not coming back to that one.
No, I guess Gargano was. At this point of his career, does he need a championship? No. I mean, is Bronson Reed deserving yet? I don't know if I would make that leap. So it's just kind of a tough one to book because I think either way it should have been Gargano, but I just don't know if this is the right match to. I don't know if the people are ready to embrace Bronson Reed because I liked his shtick when he was the big cannonball shaped man, and then he threw in a cartwheel. But you know what? I have an Otis stinking Dozovich shirt gathering dust up in my bedroom. And that guy can do a cartwheel. He can do the caterpillar. Man, he can go flying off the top. And I don't know. I need to see Otis make it before I'm ready to embrace a new big bear. You know what I mean? Where's Otis's moment?
Yeah, you refuse to give Bronson his moment until you're.
I'm not over my ex yet. Yeah, I'm not over my ex. Shotzi and Ember versus The Way, man. Just a match like this. And all due respect to everybody, all the participants, it really reminded me Oh yeah, Candice LeRae's like one of the best women's wrestlers in the whole world. When she sold for everybody, she was God, how do I even explain this? It was almost like she's a choreographer. And now it is time for the hot tag, and bring that right this way. And we'll get a little heat on you over here, and please just be a few minutes, and we're going to pummel your tag team partner, and then we'll let you sashay back into the match, get that flow of energy back, take a pin, everybody's safe, we all go home. Well done. It was like art. You know, she what's the word for it, Matt? She curated. It was like she curated the whole match. It was excellent work by Candice.
Can I think I need to explain why this is a compliment, because it's gonna sound bad.
Oh boy, here we go.
Shotzi and Ember Moon and then the Way made this look so natural. Like we had been watching NXT women's tag division matches for years. That the second it was done, I had this feeling in I don't know if it's my heart, maybe that's where it is. But it felt like a main event, and I mean again in a good way, because it's not routine's the wrong word, but just the feeling of it being organic and natural. Like this is just how tag team wrestling is. But it felt like a Sunday Night Heat main event of like the Headbangers versus, you know, Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. You know, like it was like, this is what tag team wrestling is supposed to be. This is how we highlight it.
See, what's funny is how quickly that was one of your first observations as somebody every week who has the duty to watch NXT, as the guy who's the correspondent for All Elite Wrestling. Every time Ember Moon made an extended arm reach and I saw her mouth the word tag, I was like, oh yeah, there's rules in these matches. But yeah, it was very deliberate. You know, it is time for you. If you wish to fight, well, you can't just walk into the match. You got to tag in. All right, get in there. It was so articulate and deliberate. It was almost as if they had watched a certain tag team, the Bucks, and then like went out and did their match. That's how exact it was.
Yeah, and like when I call it a Sunday Night Heat, I just go back to that idea of it feeling like at home, like that. You know, yeah. That's where tag team wrestling was for me. That a main event tag team championship match on Sunday Night Heat, like that. That's like I feel like I have a slice of pizza and a 2-liter bottle of cherry Coke in my lap right now. I'm just thinking about it, but
that sounds good.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, if we're rating that match, I'm giving it a slice of pizza and a bottle of cherry Coke. It's great.
That's pretty good endorsement, in my opinion.
All right, so now to
let's get night one. Yeah.
All right, Mike. Here it is. Ready? This is a hot take. Mike, that was the best pre-show match I've ever seen in any pre-show of any level of AEW, WWE, anything. Zoe Stark and Toni Storm delivered. Okay, I'm already going to take. They delivered one hell of a pre-show match. It was great. I loved it.
I mean, I'm not going to say that it wasn't one of the best pre-show matches I've ever seen.
I guess I might. Now that I'm thinking about it, there are some Uso and New Day pre-show matches that were pretty fucking great. But okay, you know where I'm at though. Like this was a really good pre-show match. This is the first match, Mike, of like all of the major shows coming out for WWE on WrestleMania week, and it was a hell of a way to open up the week. I thought it was great.
Well,
you know what? It wasn't that great. You know, if you think about it, it was quite a shit show because Tony's. No, I'm kidding.
No. For some reason, when you said that, one of the first matches that came to my mind was, I think it was the old D-Generation X defeating like the New Day in a pre-show match to become like 8-time tag team champions. And I think either Road Dogg or Billy Gunn said, "Suck it, bitch!" And then I was like, "Whoa!" But it like made it onto the broadcast. Which, by the way, I'm glad I mentioned this. I'm glad you said that so I could mention this. Ember Moon dropped a "Suck It" tonight. That was
yeah.
I'm still waiting to hear that interview about we noticed you on Peacock. We don't say that anymore, but I think it just felt right in her heart. I saw her like she's gesticulating and doing, I don't know, a little Dusty Rhodes move there, and then she just kind of Will Ferrell blacked out for a second. Suck it! And then she just ran forward and throw in some offense. It was wonderful. Yeah, night one. I know what match I would have liked a little bit more if my boys had gone over, but I get it that they don't need the tag team championships. I love them so. I love the Grizzled Young Vets, and I just would like to see them recognized. I'd like to see somebody besides me and the United Kingdom in its entirety recognize these guys with more than stinking shoes. I think that's I'm probably gonna have to punt on this. This dream of mine coming to fruition, at least until everybody's vaccinated and Grizzled Young Vets have the green light to start touring abroad away from the motherland. So I'll buckle in and be patient. I know MSK, they're good, but they're not Zach Gibson and James Drake good. There, I said. Right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I get less angry. Like, I don't know what it is. I think it's just because I don't know MSK, but then they do a promo, and I go, that's probably how I do a promo. And I don't know. Like, they're just, like, it's kind of cutesy kind of thing,
Yeah.
Like, they come up, and they're like, hey. Like, that's exactly it. That was verbatim and the same inflection. Like, coming up for the interview. That's me. That's how I do it. That's why I'm not employed, because when I start my interviews for new jobs, that's the same kind of attitude I walk in with, and they want somebody that's like, hey, business.
I think too many championship winners, they're kind of like, even if you have like a nice curio cabinet right in the corner of your living room, and there's some pretty cool stuff in there. It's something that you're just accustomed to seeing it, so it doesn't bring the same glisten and shine, and you're just, oh yeah, I do have the tag team championship. So this looked like Christmas morning, like you just got PlayStation 5 and you're just clinging to the box. Like that, it was that kind of joy, deserved joy, appropriate joy for those belts. So for MSK, I do appreciate them having Christmas morning PlayStation 5 excitement. So that I get.
Mike, I gotta say, out of all the Walter matches,
this was the Walteriest. Or maybe a Welt? Was it the Welteriest? Yeah.
So we watched it. I watched the.
I know what the problem is too. I know exactly what the problem is. You know what it is?
What?
The problem is that Tommaso Ciampa is too tan. When Walter is slapping around Ilya Dragunov and that pale white pasty skin has all the capillaries exploding, you can see each capillary just shrieking in pain before it just pops into just a bloody resolve. Where Ciampa, he's so hardened by that tanning light, you can barely see as the capillaries scream and die out. I think that's the problem. I do like him winning. I do like Walter winning matches with the slap, by the way. That it's such it's arguably one of the biggest finishers in all of wrestling right now, is one man's knife edge chop.
Yeah,
pretty incredible.
I think we've seen quite a bit of him winning with that power bomb and then just sitting on top of
the matchbook. Yeah.
But like the way they sold that entire match of Walter can't get his arm up to even try it, and they even had him do shitty left arm chops. This is perfect. Like, I just watched his back and forth with Drew McIntyre at Survivor Series a couple years ago. Those left arm chops were not bad, but they changed it up for this match to go, nope, it's the right arm chop that kills someone, which we know. It's like, that's where the loud chop comes from. But I just like that it was like a weaker chop from the left side in this match. And that, it just all of a sudden, this was like a focal point, was the left arm chops. It's just like, getting a massage from your buddy. So he's got to get that right arm up at some point. But yeah, like watching this, and then I was going to say earlier today, I watched NXT UK Prelude with Walter and Rampage Brown. This is something where they were trying to sell a couple of that was big meaty men slapping meat, but it still ends with Walter winning. It's almost no comparison though. Like watching the two, I was doing like work around the house during the Rampage Brown, and I realized I hadn't looked down at my phone in like 3 minutes because it wasn't a terrible match, but man, it was not this Ciampa match. But I you know, it's funny you said you wanted more from a match. I thought you were going to say this one because I could have gone for, you know, how we got 45 minutes, I think, or 40 minutes from Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. I could have gone for that with Ciampa and Walter. I think it was just a matter of one show was on USA and the other show was just Peacock, so they could go as long as they wanted. But yeah, I think that might have been the one thing that holds night one back for me, and not being the better night, is because some of these matches did feel like they ended a little abruptly.
Well, one thing I think with WWE and the production team that they're very cognizant of is historical context. Now, I know I know there's going to be 100 different arguments against that, but let me plead my case on this. I think they know in certain aspects they know when to like go all in, right? So like Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole got 50 minutes because it's deserved. You know, that's a long-term relationship that broke up. And I think they would want to give more time and more violence to Ciampa and Walter, who would definitely be game for destroying each other. But I think they kind of said, let's kind of see where this goes. And if it pops, maybe we'll do it a few more times. But it would almost, like, you don't want to diminish, like, that effort he did in UK against Dragunov. Or, like the epic battles that he had with Tyler or Pete Dunne. I think it should kind of feel like the fourth best, major Walter match, or fifth best if you want to throw in, some of the stuff he started to do against members of the main roster. I think it should feel like that, and I don't know how much credit I want to give to the production team if they actually went to that kind of like thought and long term commitment, to these guys and their legacies. But it didn't surprise me that it wasn't my number one Walter match, because it feels like, they're going to kind of keep those other ones up on the Walter Mount Rushmore.
I can agree with that. I think let's just moving on. We're at 30 minutes. I think that's a good.
Yeah, we can. Raquel got her coronation against Io Shirai. It's tough, man. Like the way that the men get booked, right? Where like Walter gets to pummel Ciampa, Kross gets to pummel Finn Balor. We've seen Brock Lesnar pummel, Daniel Bryan's and AJ Styles's and Finn Balor's and Kofi Kingston's in the past. So when you see a match like this with, Io Shirai at, maybe like 5'2", maybe Angus Young height, and then Raquel Gonzalez comes out and she's the size of Eddie the mascot from Iron Maiden, it's kind of hard to see a scenario where Io Shirai is going to triumph. I know they made a big point for her to really point in her brain a few times that she was smarter than Raquel, but it just, just didn't translate into, elongated success against, such a more gifted athlete, size wise. I think the right person went over, and Matt, this is the hardest question of this match. I don't think there's a question that it was, well executed. The right person went over. What's next for Io?
Yeah, and I absolutely wanted to talk about this because it's something where if you look at what Io's path would be going forward, it just doesn't make sense for her to hang around and hope for a rematch with Raquel. One interesting tidbit is that she is in the promotions for NXT, like moving to Tuesdays. But I think ultimately this could be something where she gets one more shot at the title, and Raquel really has to just put her down, kind of thing. But I think she's headed for the main roster. Eventually, by the end of this year, we'll see her on there. I'm not saying it's not the same conversation it used to be, Mike, where it's like, God, I can't wait for so and so to get to the main roster, so they can pull a Kevin Owens and beat John Cena. It's one of those things that I'm guessing it's going to happen. I'm gonna be readying for the kick to the gut. I won't be just whistling away, looking to my side like Kurt Angle, and then have Triple H pop me one in the chin. This is going to be something where I'm ready to go. I've got my fisticuffs ready. It could go ugly, but I do hope that how many times we've seen Triple H on Twitter selling how much he loves Io, that it will go well. But yeah, to answer the question, I think she absolutely is headed for the main roster, because I don't know what else she does here. Besides, like, okay, I'm going to fight Zoe Stark and give her a number one contender spot because I lost.
Yeah, it might be a kind of a scary future for her.
Yeah.
She would probably need a mouthpiece, the way WWE likes to, have your characters be able to, get on the stick and tell a story. And I we just heard Britt Baker cut a brilliant 90-second promo this week on Dynamite, and she was, of course, mad at Tony Khan again for saying, apparently these wins and losses matter. I don't think that that's what should matter. What should matter is, who's the main event star, who sells the most T-shirts, who sells the most gear, who's the star people want to see. So that's what I've been doing, and I'm the best at it. Well, now I have to act like these wins and losses matter. So now I'm going to be wrestling on every single show. So I'll have that too. So I guess with Io, we've already seen her kind of win every match. She's booked up top. Then she was booked to win the championship. Then she defended it for a while. So does she have that kind of pull, that kind of influence, that kind of following like Britt Baker does to, sell the T-shirts, sell the storylines? I mean, we're going to find out.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. I mean, they're not going to go away from her. They saw something in her to give her the belt. But yeah, this is gonna, we're going to see the little bird come out of the nest now, and she's going to have to moonsault or, be cat food. So hopefully she can make it work there.
I mean, yeah, I'd sit here and tell everybody I don't have a T-shirt of either one of them. So. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I got my Britt Baker shirt en route. I'm very excited for that one. Covered in blood. She's the new role model.
Oh,
so
is it like a little Nas shoes?
No, it does. It would match
shirt?
my blood sneakers. It would match those. Matt, any other thoughts from night one?
Just another one that ended a little abruptly for me. Pete Dunne and Kushida. But I think the way that Pete Dunne stood there and they had him on the side of the ring watching the NXT Championship match, I think we know what direction he's headed. So that's it, Mike. Any final thoughts on the entire 2-night show? Because I mean, ultimately, I'd say this is an amazing 2-night event, and the WWE has a lot of work to, as always, to put on as good a show as TakeOver.
Yeah, we know the work rate bar is always going to be really high, but I'm into pro wrestling, and I wouldn't mind some storylines. Let's do just a quick 5-minute pivot into AEW, and we'll close out with WrestleMania. Just a couple cool things. Death Triangle, our boys, Penta, Phoenix, and of course Pac. Healing it up out there. And then, shockingly, man, the guy making the threat is Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy and the boys come out and be like, yeah, best friends are back, And so they're going to challenge the Death Triangle. And I'm like giddy with excitement to see where this goes, because we're not used to best friends being the aggressor, especially against the team headed by Pac. So this is another spot where AEW is like, yeah, let's look at some long-term storytelling. And Orange Cassidy basically turned it and, had footage to show when Cassidy and Pac were doing one-on-one matches. We were just kind of astounded that Cassidy, he's not at the level that Pac is. Nobody is, but he still went toe-to-toe with them. So I'm pretty pumped for that. Met in the grand scheme of WWE and AEW's, eternal PP measuring contest. On the week that WrestleMania occurs, Tony Khan, I don't know, he found an extra 10 grand in a cargo pant pocket and said, hey, Mike Tyson, want to show up and, beat up some MJF and cronies? And he said, sounds funny. So he showed up, ripped his shirt off, flexed a little bit, and threw some punches. And Tony Schiavone said, boy, he looks great. Doesn't he look great, JR? Yep, well, Mike, he looked great. That's our commentary team, folks. Well, but the other cool part was the Inner Circle getting to do some The Shining cosplay because they were barricaded into their special locker room, and they had to axe and hammer their way out to go rescue Jericho from the rest of Pinnacle. So it was kind of a cool moment. And then, Matt, the Tide Conti anointment continues.
I know.
That was a hard one to say. I know.
Take
Conti continues. She's just looked like one of the best women on the roster, and it doesn't feel like they've kind of just force fed you down, the Soylent Green. It feels like, oh yeah, she's got a lot of talent. It's right there. I can see it. This is a deserving spot. So I'm just glad that they're letting her and the bunny get some more, time on Wednesdays. People are really gravitating with her connection to, and what a lucky little boy gets to hug Ty every week. And you can see his little eyes just, oh. I'm like, I wouldn't let go of that hug either, -1. Good job, buddy. And there was one instance where Schiavone caught the wandering eye, we'll say, of -1. He's like, well, watch your eyes there, kid. So we'll leave it at that. I think you know where he may have been looking. But, at least Ty is a good sport, so good for her. And then the last just, the Bucks had this reluctance to fully, go all in, if you will, and super kick Kenny Omega, as they teamed up with Mox, and they turned on him, but didn't quite throw up, the old too sweet gesture. But they did betray Mr. Mox. And Matt, my favorite moment in all of wrestling this week, including Stand and Deliver, including everything I've yet to see this weekend, Matt, was my hero, the knight in shining armor, Matt with a broken leg, storyline-wise, hobbling out to rescue a wildly outnumbered Jon Moxley. Of course, was Eddie Kingston. Matt, he came hobbling out.
Let's try it again.
Yeah, like he came hobbling out like he was watching Dynamite on the crapper and his leg fell asleep like I do. And then he came running out. It just was overwhelmed, man. It looked like I don't know, like when you put lettuce on a cheesy gordita crunch and it just gets overwhelmed by cheese and shell and meat and more melted cheese and sauce. No, I'm a vegetable. That's how bleak it looked for Eddie. But he still came out there and fought the good fight. God bless him. What a guy to sell that little gesture. So I'm so excited for when he's, his storyline is that he's back from the mend and he and Mox can go to war against all these betrayals. So AEW, loved it again. It's a sports entertainment show, and I was sportly and entertained for the whole 2 hours. But Matt, we got to knock into WrestleMania. Do you have any AEW nuggies?
Well, I just want to throw out there, super underrated, Mike, is the Taco Bell app where you don't have to worry about looking like a douchebag and telling them how many different things you want changed on your tacos. I have not put lettuce on my cheesy gordita crunch in probably a year.
Really?
Since
you customize it with no lettuce?
No lettuce, add onion and tomatoes.
I'm gonna have to try that.
Good. Huh. The lettuce is such a nothing piece of garbage to me, and it takes up so much space on that thing. But the onions and tomato,
Can you sub out the lettuce for more cheese?
Yeah, you can. You're just gonna have to pay for it.
And the shell for more cheese?
Yeah.
I just want the gordita bread and 3 cheeses and a meat. Man, let's get into WrestleMania. It's 9 hours long. We're gonna try and knock it out in 9 minutes.
3 cheeses. Some meat. Naomi and Lana versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Riot Squad and Natalya and Tamina going at it and tag team turmoil.
I love turmoil. That's why this match is for me. And then, more turmoil.
This is unfortunately is what I asked for, Mike, is for night 1 to lead into night 2 matches. I just didn't picture it being them saying, hey, you know the you know those tag titles we made? We don't need a storyline for that. Just we'll announce it on Monday. They'll watch it. They'll tune in. I'm pretty disappointed that this could have been built up to be huge, and it's really just thrown together. And it's another showing of disrespect to this women's division on the main roster. But if
it makes you feel any better, the men's tag team division will be ignored largely at WrestleMania by SmackDown instead. Yeah.
So I'll throw out there. I think, Mike, you know what? Let's do it. Natalya and Tamina, just load it up. Let's give them a tag title shot. They've been getting a lot of gramming going, and Natalya, just give her title.
Come on,
just do it.
Come on. I just, Matt, that's so funny when you look at these women outside of the Riot Squad. Most of them have tag teamed with each other at some point. I'm pretty sure Natalya has tag teamed with, obviously right now, Tamina, Lana at some point, Dana Brooke at some point, Naomi at some point, and maybe Mandy Rose. And Mandy is definitely tagged with Lana at some point, Naomi at some point, and Dana, she's like the younger daddy. She's been with she's had a cup of coffee with all of them. I'm pretty sure. So I think this, Matt, I do not want to be a performer in this match outside of the Riot Squad, because I think there's going to be a lot of confusion when you reach over to, oh, you're not my tag team partner this month. Hold on there. Here we go. Then you go to the right corner. You gotta, it's almost going to be like that Christmas in the Office. You got to write down your partner on your arm.
You know what it's going to be, Mike?
What?
It's going to be Tag Team Turmoil.
That's why it's got the name. Who's on your team? I don't know. Matt, it's an embarrassment if the Riot Squad goes another year without tag team titles. This is the only tag team in this whole match. I'm so sick of it. I bought my beautiful Ruby Riot t-shirt, and I never get to wear it because she never wins. I'm so tired of this. Make this the year.
If you go through that list, like Naomi, I think needs a title. I do think Dana Brooke needs something at some point, because I still, they never gave her a character. They forgot to load that in there. So, title for her at some point. And she does good work in the ring. It's good. It's not clumsy. It's pretty smooth. All right.
I still like her entrance too, where she kind of does it. She stopped doing it. Now she does kind of a flex with Mandy, and they look at each other. Yeah, that spin kick was pretty cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A huge match on the card, just for fun, because it was like, Kevin Owens, we forgot to book you this year. Let's do a rehate. We're gonna put it in the microwave. You and Sami Zayn, you in? And this is probably gonna be one of the best matches of the whole weekend. And they just slapped it together. So. Yeah, they slapped it together in 5 minutes. I mean,
what's funny, Mike? I'm taking a look at this card, top to bottom. Like, seeing the competitors in the ring, it's a pretty goddamn good card. I listened to someone earlier today that doesn't watch wrestling as often as we do, and they said this is one of the worst WrestleMania cards I've ever seen. So clearly this WrestleMania card is not meant for the casual viewer. This is meant for the hardcore WWE fan, I think. because I'm a huge fan that this exists, and I'm all in on KO and Sami Zayn. I wore this just to support that. I think this has that match of the year potential. Mike, by the way, worst hoodies in sports entertainment. This thing doesn't zip up, and it never did. My KO hoodie. Kevin, if you're listening, you hook up sick kids all the time. It's really sweet, but my zipper doesn't zip, and I would really like that. Mike, Intercontinental Championship. I'm gonna go Sami Zayn. Let's give Sami a win, right? I think Kevin Owens would say, yeah, I will absolutely lay down for my boy Sami.
Yeah, my only beef with this match is I like when they throw each other through things, and we're probably not going to see that. This is a sanctioned match.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Sami win, but I don't think Sami cares about winning ever again. So I think Kevin Owens is going over here. Man, maybe of the match, I would say easily as a wrestling fan, the hardest one to pick. Big E defending the Intercontinental Championship against Apollo Crews in a Nigerian drum fight. I don't know what that's going to entail exactly, but I love this Apollo Crews Nigerian character. I think Big E loves Apollo Crews' Nigerian drum character. I think a lot of us are starting to get in on this character, where we don't dislike him because he's Nigerian. We dislike him because he hit Big E in the head with steel stairs, and we love Big E.
Yeah.
So it's nice that, embracing your heritage, that's not why you're a heel. Just a fun note here as Peacock continues to don't mind our dust as we sweep out some of the racist things in the histories of WWE here. But yeah, Apollo is he's just Nigerian, but he's also a dick, and we hate him because he's a dick. It's not because he's Nigerian. And I like this angle, and if at some point this means that Apollo Crews holds a belt and Big E moves on to bigger and better things, i.e., the big championships, WWE or Universal, this just sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah, and this to me, I think has been big meaty men slapping meat, which you and I are huge fans of, and of course Big E is too. Yeah. So I think this is something that Big E wants as well. Like as the Intercontinental Champion, as you go through your reign, like he wants to see matches like this. I think ultimately too, anytime we can get Big E off that title, it gets him closer into the main event, and we get him either a WWE Championship or a Universal title, and I'm cool with that too. So that's kind of where my head's at all times with Big E is how quickly can he lose that Intercontinental title and be elevated. Mike, another great one on the card that this should be just a great match is Cesaro and Seth Rollins. So this is when the night turns into a 4-hour night, and you don't mind because that means they gave time to this match. If it's a 2.5-hour night, that means they gave this match about 10 minutes, which is not enough for these two super duper stars.
Yeah.
But Cesaro's got to go over, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the loudest suits in the room against Pepperoni Man. So I'm very excited.
Pepperoni nips.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes. Seth Rollins is no stranger to early in the card, nothing matches. Was it WrestleMania 31 when he took that incredible RKO in the daylight, jumping off of Randy's leg and then getting mashed into the ground?
Yep.
So yeah, I think he would happily do that for Cesaro in this case. He's a dad now. He's won his championships. He just wants to wear loud suits and peacock his way around the ring, so to speak. I think he wants to give Cesaro the rub here. I think Rollins and Daniel Bryan and people like that are like, let's get the big guy out there. Let's give him one for the Gipper, huh?
Yeah.
So Matt, I'm picking Cesaro. This is going to be his WrestleMania moment.
It's got to be him for the same reasons. I think ultimately, good gravy. You just cross your fingers on what happens next, and they don't just go, "Hey, Cesaro, we're going to give you a United States Championship match."
Hey!
No, it's Come on, we've got to right one of these years. Let's put him in a main event.
One of these years. Yeah.
Oh my God! All right. Speaking of the United States Championship, Mike, we've got Matt Riddle and Sheamus.
Matt, some of these matches, it's not that you want to pick the winner or break it down. Sometimes it's what we like to play. Difficult question, Matt.
Yeah.
Difficult question. I think undoubtedly one of the more colorful entrances we're about to see, Matt, is Matt effing Riddle at WrestleMania. Birds. Is a live bird gonna fly out of his butthole, Matt? Is an NBC peacock gonna come out of Matt Riddle's butthole?
Well, all they have to do is when that does happen is have him go, I forgot that was there. I'm sorry. Like that, they can roll that into his character at any time now. I wouldn't mind, like, if they really want to take this to the next level, like have like a couple of fake birds fly him from that huge boat that they have out on the entrance ramp, and have that carry him and his scooter right to the middle of the ring. They've got the money. That's actually probably cheaper than a bunch of fireworks. Honestly, it's just a zip line with a couple of paper mache birds on either side. Do that. Like, that would be hilarious. And it would go to that level of like that grungy feel that we all like from our buddy that gets high, but he made like Flash videos in high school. Like, they never really looked great, but they were kind of funny. Like, that would be that level. I want crappy paper mache birds on either side. I don't want good looking birds.
I don't mind if this match ends up looking like a Job Bluth magic show with just birds falling out of pockets all the way down the ramp for 60 feet. But it does feel like this card should be a little bit more WrestleMania-er. So that's why it's kind of like, well, why isn't I don't have off the top of my head a good sidekick for Sheamus to walk down with. But Matt, is there any reason that RVD and Matt Riddle can't
coexist? Can they coexist?
Share something green down the aisle, something like that.
I think really what you're saying is that the Hall of Fame will most certainly be wrapping up their recap session, and RVD and Matt Riddle are going to walk into each other. I think we just produced those two segments back to back successfully. I think that's a dunk.
If there's a joint to be lit, I think Kane's got that covered.
Oh, nice.
Nice, yeah. But Matt, are you picking Mr. Riddle to win his first ever WrestleMania match?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going down the line here of Sheamus has had his moments, and as mean as he's been on Monday Night Raw, I think everybody gets it. Like with Riddle, like he's a goofus, but he's not mean spirited. He's just, he's just kind of not.
He's a goofus.
All there. Yeah, he's a goofus. All right. So, Mike, we got a couple of goofuses in the next match. What's funny is what I was referencing earlier of listening to a podcast of somebody who does not watch wrestling and said this was a terrible card. Would you like to know? This was
their favorite match?
This is one of the matches that they were excited about. So that tells me everything. That's why this exists. It's not for us. They're also old, so they didn't know what Bad Bunny meant. So that's also not for us or for them. Yeah. But yeah, this Shane McMahon match in a steel cage against Braun Strowman is for the fan who barely watches but is aware that pro wrestling and WrestleMania is pro wrestling exists and that WrestleMania is this weekend. Mike, for us, for the hardcore fan, this means so little to me. I think the writing for this has been absolutely terrible. I don't think it's funny that Shane McMahon just calls him an idiot, and Shane does not like this either. I can tell in his delivery. All of it, I just want it done.
Yeah, I think it was our buddy, Mr. Warren Hayes, who said the storyline for the Braun Shane match, for it to be Braun getting bullied, is a really hard sell. And I couldn't agree more. But, Matt, I'm just going to back off on the seriousness of how much we love professional wrestling and just say that, you know what? For 10 minutes, we're going to watch. Hopefully Shane is dressed all in white, because I want him to look like that block of snow that the Snowpiercer train blows over in the Bong Joon-ho classic Snowpiercer. And then I'm going to get to watch, the owner's son fall off a, large piece of steel and crash and burn. So don't look at it as a wrestling match. Just look at it as you get to see a rich guy fall off a cage and, look really injured. So you got that going for you.
That's what I think we're all just waiting for that. So the transition would be, like the other match that isn't for us, Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, which, again, I'm not quite sure what people see in Damian Priest still, versus The Miz and Morrison, two of the best heels in the biz, probably more Miz than Morrison.
Hey, ho.
Morrison has fun. That's right. Hopefully we'll be on Botchamania. I sent that video I made as many times as I could over to Matthew. So we'll keep the fingers
hopefully
crossed.
It takes a second. You know what I want to say about this match is, the Miz and Morrison, they're gonna get you over. They're fantastic at their job. But I gotta say that this whole event is a failure because the only thing we got over was Bad Bunny. And we already know that Bad Bunny's over because he's like the leading Spotify download of all time. So he's fine. He didn't need a rub. But Damian Priest needed the rub. And it feels like the actual wrestler that we called up, he's the one who got lost in the shuffle, not the, 5'9", 140-pound, rapper, singer guy. It's stunning that the Bad Bunny, The Miz, and Morrison, the whole point of getting this together was Priest. He's an afterthought. Yeah. He's an afterthought in his own ascension. Yeah.
How about we don't put Bad Bunny in a singles match?
Oops. So I think Bad Bunny, he's arguably up there with Pat McAfee. From my God, where did this guy come from? And all of a sudden, he's like one of the most important parts of the show. So you can't hate him for that. I'm not going to get mad at a guy for making a buck. Good for him. But just weird on the production team to be like, oh man, the fourth most important person is Damian Priest. Oh, well, you're top four. All right, but yeah, Bad Bunny's going.
You're top four. Same here. I still like. Maybe this will be those moments where Damian Priest gets sold on me. But Mike, you said it earlier. I mean, I'm the guy who's watched every NXT episode, live for the point of our podcast. I've watched every Damian Priest match that's been on TV or on TakeOver. He's not bad. He's just not interesting. I will, like, to this day, I still don't get it. I don't know if I'm missing something. Somebody, please.
I mean, we tried. Listen, Damian, we gave you sunglasses. We gave you a fire entrance. We gave you a tabernacle choir. We gave you a hot dog. We gave you Bad Bunny. We gave you The Miz and Morrison. All right, what do you got? And, maybe he'll, really have a sparkler flying out of his ass this weekend. We'll see what happens. Yeah. But right now, he's the fourth most interesting guy in that match. Matt, here's another one. I think the second hardest for me to pick because there's so much love for me in this match. Matt, it's the Raw Women's Champion. Asuka, arguably one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, just happens to also have a hilarious Twitch channel, a YouTube channel, and Twitter feed where she photoshops herself into her favorite Simpsons scenes when she's not wrestling. Going up against Matt, the young up-and-comer, arguably the greatest female bumper of all time. Matt, I would be shocked to find out in her history she wasn't trained by Mr. Ziggler herself. But, Matt, at some point, we got to strap the rocket to her. And if there's one thing we know about WWE, they likes to see Asuka going down at WrestleMania. You're going down, Asuka. So, Matt, is this it? Because Ripley, her first real call-up match, does she become champion?
I kind of don't want it to happen. And I tweeted this out this past week where I was like, I'd want it if they gave this more time. But I don't like that Rhea gets inserted by her just announcing she's the number one contender and then she's going to win. Because it feels like it, like... God, I sent you that video earlier today that, what's his face? Did you watch it on Twitter? No? Vince.
Vince Russo. Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah.
He made me all self-conscious about being an adult who watches pro wrestling. So you get into these moments where, you talk. He just blatantly keeps calling it fake fighting because I think he's just mad at the business at this point.
That they won't rehire him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but like, I guess where my head's at is taking it outside of the wrestling and bringing it into like respecting one of the best wrestlers on the planet, who would be Asuka, and just having it be like, well, somebody's got to take the title away from her. Like that. Like that's pretty much what's going on if Rhea wins this match, right? Like it's like we got to fit somebody into that main event role that's not Asuka. And I just wish there was more time like allotted or like we put in more effort into writing the story of Asuka losing her title reign. I guess that's where my head's at, and that's why I want her to keep it. I don't mind her losing it. Just put more effort into it. Put a better story behind it, and give more meaning to Rhea winning it. Besides her just going, "That's me. We couldn't coexist in a tag team match, and now we're gonna go toe to toe."
Yeah, I mean, this podcast, we're huge fans of Rhea Ripley. There's no question about it. Like you said, like Bianca Belair, she's going to get her chance. She's almost assuredly going to defeat Sasha Banks, and it's going to feel deserved because she had this whole build-up over the fall. She won the Royal Rumble. She's, planted herself as a top entity over on SmackDown. And Rhea, like you said, this feels like a last-minute replacement. It feels like, something went awry with Charlotte and Asuka were probably going to battle and let Asuka probably get her revenge victory over Charlotte. And they're like, fuck, oh, she's out. Well, I guess we'll call Rhea up then and see what happens. And if Ripley wins, I think you're so right. It won't quite have that punch of, man, she finally ascended the mountain,
Yeah.
I think that's a spot where maybe Asuka will maybe have to turn heel a little bit to try and help this match out. It's just so tough because she's so damn lovable.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Rhea wins, nobody's going to be upset. But I think the more exciting thing is, somebody chasing, and probably keeping Asuka as the champion and let Rhea kind of, earn that moment instead of just declaring the moment. Which is actually something Asuka mentioned in a promo recently. Your confidence is not earned. So I would book Asuka to win and let Rhea kind of build herself up. But it would be a hell of a resume already for Rhea to have Charlotte and Asuka, in WrestleMania matches.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
Matt, go ahead.
I was gonna say I was gonna move on to the next match. If that's okay.
That's fine.
The only match that probably not be a wrestling match. It's going to be The Fiend and Randy Orton here. It's Burned Face Bray comes out, and we saw what he did with John Cena, and it was one of the most beautiful art masterpieces on this show, that we've ever seen. Combining all sorts of different medias, combining the character development and evolution and growth and rise and fall of Jonathan Cena as he was portrayed as a rapper, the next Hulk Hogan, a muscle man, a bully, an afterthought to a Bella sister. Man, so many different chapters that The Fiend took us through in a John Cena greatest hits, debacle. That eventually did kind of end in a chokehold. It kind of ended in a mandible claw, but that wasn't the point. It was the story. Man, God, please let us do the same for Randy.
But can it live up to it? Won't you only be left with disappointment because it won't be anything? It won't. There's no way that it's going to reach the same level. And part of the reason we love that John Cena Fiend match was because we didn't see, like, we weren't going to be able to predict that. That's my fear. I think I want something better than what we got with Cena last year, but I just don't know if that's possible.
I have a lot of confidence in Bray. I have a lot of confidence in what Randy Orton has done with this storyline. It seems like he's excited to be a part of it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I have a lot of confidence in Randy, like what he's put into this Bray Wyatt storyline. It's been years now. And I mean, Randy's had so many, nefarious twists and turns over the history of his career that I think they're really going to be able to, if they do it right, they're really going to be able to, show you some scary images of what we've allowed Randy to do and still wrestle for the company, kayfabe wise. And it smells like Bray is actually going to have quite a few unpaid parking tickets and receipts for Randy to answer to. This has been a long time coming for Randy. I think we're really going to be in for a treat. It won't be as good as that first time, right? But I have pretty high confidence in this being satisfying for us.
Well, the next thing on the card, Mike, I'm more excited for it than I think most people are. But AJ Styles and Omos going up against the New Day for the tag team championships. If they give them the time, Mike, I mean, this should be a banger. We know the New Day can run with anyone, but now we're talking about one of the greatest. I'm never gonna put this asterisk on there because it gets thrown out to everybody else. One of the greatest male pro wrestlers of all time, AJ Styles. No, I'm kidding. One of the greatest pro wrestlers. It's easy of all time in AJ Styles. So this should be a banger, and I think we're gonna tell a good story for Omos too, for him finally getting involved, and this. It's not going to hurt to take away the titles from the New Day. This is something they've won a lot of them. Their game should be to lose them just so they can keep winning them. I think for the New Day that they're a team that should be in the record books for most reigns of all time kind of thing. And AJ, look at what's going on with the other title pictures. I'm okay with him not being in the main event. So this gives us an opportunity to watch AJ Styles wrestle, do something we haven't seen him do a ton of, and we get to see Omos too. And there's a lot of hate going around for this. I don't understand it that AJ Styles just inserts himself into the tag team division, but this is exciting. I'm all for it.
It is AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I think
aged a day in 20 years.
I think the most interesting thing about this is that, wow, Omos's first match ever for WWE is going to be at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the pre-show. It's not going to be it's not going to be a one-on-one squash. But he's going up against arguably one of the 5 best tag teams WWE's ever created on their own. They didn't adopt, Dudley's, or it's not one of those scenarios. This is a team they built and created in the New Day. This is one of their babies. And then they're going to have AJ Styles, who they treat like the greatest wrestler on the planet. That's usually his character going into a storyline. So those 3 guys with a tag team championship on the line are going to hold Omos's hand through this match and make this guy look like the most unstoppable giant you've ever seen. My interest is so piqued at this match. I'm astounded that they've glued AJ and Omos together. This was not a short-lived, combination. We're getting you over with me. So I'm kind of curious to see if what AJ saw in this giant man, and what the WWE as a whole said. Wow. Okay, we're not gonna have him just go out there and smush one of our luchadors. We're gonna have him beat the crap out of Xavier Woods and former champion Kofi Kingston, and he's gonna tag team with AJ Styles. The way that the brass up top are just saying we're going all in with Omos. I'm so excited to see if he can actually fight. Man, I think there's going to be a collective thundering around, the earth as people are falling out of their chairs watching Omos perform. I'm just this match has me the most curious. Like as far as debuts, guys coming out of nowhere. What are we gonna see from Omos, Matt? This is a hell of an endorsement by this company on this guy. Yeah, if you don't have any other thoughts, we can move on. I'm so curious on this one because we have the SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't think there's any doubt about the final outcome here. It's Sasha versus Bianca.
Should be Bianca. Absolutely. And there's no denying that this is going to be a banger. It's just I think it's how we're going to get there is going to be the fun part because we know we go into every movie knowing that the good guys are going to win except for that one Avengers movie and I don't think we're going to need a part 2. I think this is going to be it, and Bianca's going to go over.
Yeah, that's why this is a harder one to talk about because it feels like this is one of the few storylines in this entire card where it feels like we've kind of, we've mapped out, point A all the way to the, point Z for the end of this story, and we're going to be at point Z, and it doesn't make me bummed out that we have a pretty good idea what's going to happen. It feels earned. It feels Asuka earned. Very excited for Bianca to have her moment.
Yeah, I think I'll just say it kind of feels like we get into that trouble with the Royal Rumble winner every year. It's kind of like the Money in the Bank kind of thing. Like they probably should win if they get the Money in the Bank. The conversion rate is pretty high. That's kind of like you don't want to diminish the importance of winning that, and I think that goes along those lines too. But our championship match without a Royal Rumble winner is the WWE Championship match. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre going at it. Mike, the more of the story they tell, and getting Baron Corbin involved, who just gets go away heat like nobody's business. Like you got to believe that they actually want us to cheer for Drew McIntyre, even though everyone and their mother is all in on Bobby Lashley. We want to see him have a long reign. It just looks like the story is not headed in that direction. And I love Drew McIntyre. I just don't know. Again, like it feels like they want to give him that moment that he missed out on last year. First things first, nobody's owed that moment. The long and short of it right there. I don't know where Drew McIntyre, what he's done for it to be like, well, like, and I only say this in response to the wrestling fan idea of what's going to happen here is that he's owed this moment. But I just don't know what Drew would have done compared to any other wrestler on the planet where they're like, no, we're having fans. We're going to cause a bunch of COVID, we're going to cause a jump in the numbers to have 25,000 people at WrestleMania just so Drew McIntyre can have fans for his championship win. I don't know what he did for them to do that, but I also don't think that's the case. But I just now I'm starting to ramble. I think Drew's going to win. I hope that Bobby Lashley does.
I would say that there's a couple matches where it was really hard to pick the winner. Big E, Apollo, Asuka, Rhea, and this is right up there too. I think that it's difficult to pick because I don't know what direction WWE's going in, especially after they are seemingly disbanding the Hurt Business. Saying that Bobby can go on his own. So I think if they give it to Drew, they're making a mistake. I think it's too soon to, cut ties on the Bobby Lashley championship reign. But I do think to keep Drew strong, this is when I would pull the trigger and have Keith Lee and Ricochet join the Hurt Business. And then, like the parts will be just as exciting as the sum, where I think with the previous members with Shelton, who's, it's his second time coming and, he's just not as, charismatic as Ricochet and Keith Lee. It happens. And same thing with Cedric. They're both excellent workers, but it's not as exciting, as seeing Keith Lee and Ricochet join. Are they both going to join in one night? storyline wise, that would really be juggling some plates. But I just think if you're going to go with Bobby, I think you can go ahead and feel okay to throw in a little bit of a schmaz to still keep Drew looking strong, because he should look strong leaving this match.
Absolutely.
But Bobby should win.
Now I've got all the wheels turning, like Brock Lesnar showing up and costing the match for Drew or something like that.
CM Punk coming out. No, not CM Punk.
No, CM Punk all the way. He's joining the Hurt Business.
No, he's going to join Pinnacle probably. Jesus.
No, it'll be Parker Bordeaux. He'll be the new.
Oh my God, Matt! Don't give him any ideas. All right, edit that out of the show. All right.
Last match.
Last match.
And we can go to bed.
Let's do it.
Universal Championship match, Mike. Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. Just give it to Edge. I mean, he says it all the time. How much longer does he have in the ring? We don't know. It's like I've said it the last couple of weeks. I feel like Daniel Bryan got mixed in there to make things easier for Roman Reigns to lose the title. But I also think there's an element of Edge and Daniel wanting to get in the ring together. I think that that idea of them being in, like when Roman gets knocked out and the two of them are in the ring together, that is truly a special moment at WrestleMania. Like two guys that were supposed to be done, and science has caught up with pro wrestling and gone beyond it. So a testament to science, a testament to technology will be these two facing off, which is incredible. It's something that we used to see in movies. That was a joke of seeing a guy that was like half machine, prolonging a career of some sort. But this is so much better than that, because these guys aren't machine. They're still mostly man. It's going to be two men going at it. But yeah, that ultimately, I think just give Edge his moment before it's too late, before something goes in the wrong direction. I kind of agree with that take that Edge delivers on a weekly basis. Yeah.
I don't know if God, what was it? Just like 3 years ago, you would have had a guy with leukemia, a guy with a broken neck, and another guy with a broken neck. And hey, we're going to have all these guys main event in WrestleMania 37. Like, what? Get the hell out of here.
Right.
Yeah, I think easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Daniel Bryan's in there to take a 3-second tan for Edge. This is another one where I got to think one of these championship matches is going to be a little schmazzy for the men. Where Roman, it feels like it would take such a, just Thor flying down from the heavens with Mjolnir, to take him out of the game, and not have him, pinning somebody for victory. Mm-hmm. So I think that's maybe where we'd see, like, the Usos finally reunite and be like, you know what, screw this, and kick Roman right in the face, something like that. Because it would take that kind of monumental effort. Plus, Roman obviously not taking a pin when he loses his championship. But, I mean, if it's not to Edge, if it's not to the Royal Rumble winner, if it's not to a guy returning from a broken neck, I don't know if I see him ever losing it. He might just, we might just bury it with him, like an Egyptian king,
Yeah.
There's nobody who's going to take it from him. So I got to think there's going to be some Uso shenanigans. There's going to be Daniel Bryan eating a pin for Edge. It's going to take a lot to get it off of the head of the table, but I would honestly be, there's 0% chance of Daniel winning. Probably like an 80% chance of Edge, and then Roman, I'm going to give him 20.
All right. I'll give Dan. Dan's going to get 10.
That's a big number, Matt.
I'll give Roman 30, and
can I give you 1,000 to 1 odds on that 10 to 1? On that 10 to 90?
So, yeah, if I bet $1,
you bet $1, and I'll bet 1,000, 10,000. That Daniel Bryan doesn't win.
Yeah, I'll take that bet. No problem.
Okay, done. It'll go to Addie's college, and then that $1 will go into a taco that I'll turn into poop.
100. I got that. Bet will We'll do a PayPal or Venmo live on the next episode.
Yep. You watch me throw up real blood. It's going to be fantastic.
We do have to figure out another date and time for the next episode, or we might have to go late into the night again, because, Mike, you and I will be recording with Mr. Darren McCarty a week from now.
Woo!
Thursday at 8 o'clock. So if you guys are Red Wings fans, go check that out. I'm pretty stoked for it. This is a guy that's meant a lot to my life as a human being, like growing up.
He does real fighting. Well, he used to, but
yeah. So yeah, we'll probably announce if you guys are listening, if you for the next live show. Doesn't look like anybody's watching right now, but that's fine. Find us at BOD Podcast and brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. And if you are listening to the podcast, you want to see the visuals of our beautiful faces, go on over to YouTube and subscribe. We've got extra content that goes up there that does not go on the podcast, so you guys want to check that out. And yeah, I think that's it. Mike, you ready to sail off and go to bed?
Yeah, it's time for Betty Bye. Matt, make sure you edit this tomorrow. Don't do that tonight.
We got to do it tonight. We got the web page ready to go.
Oh no! All right, well, let's sail off into the sunset. Get ready for a whole weekend of wrestling.
Toodaloo.
Bye.